If 80s movies have taught me anything, it's that anyone with a sweater tied around their neck is a dick. The Tories will not sell NHS. I want to make it clear that that will never mean putting our NHS up for sale. Tory Trade Minister Liz Truss, 29th of July 2019. Our NHS will never be up for sale. Boris Johnson, 23rd of November 2019. The NHS is not for sale. Boris Johnson, 27th of November 2019. The NHS is not and will never be for sale. Tory Party Chairman James Cleverly, 27th November 2019. The NHS is not for sale. Tory Health Minister Matt Hancock, 28th November 2019. The NHS is not going to be privatised. Tory Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab, 3rd December 2019. Meanwhile, Tories hand 15-year pathology contract worth $2.25 billion to German health firm Synlab. But don't worry, it's not going to be privatised. Exactly what you want to see before your flight. Someone fixing the engine with duct tape. Sajid Javid replaced by Rishi Sunak. Bankster replaces another bankster. As I said many a time, the banks rule the government and run the country. The man on the left was born in Australia and is a convicted paedophile. The man on the right was born in America and has admitted to possession of cocaine and other drugs. Neither of them have been bungled onto a plane and sent back to their country of birth. Strange, huh? Barclays CEO ties to Jeffrey Epstein provoke UK inquiry. The British bank said regulators were looking into its chief's relationship with the disgraced financier who was facing new sex trafficking charges when he was allegedly killed. Barclays said on Thursday that British financier regulators were investigating the relationship between James E. Staley, its chief executive, and Jeffrey Epstein, the financier who allegedly killed himself last August after facing new allegations of sex trafficking of underage girls. Mr. Stanley is one of a handful of prominent Wall Street financiers who have been linked to Mr. Epstein, who portrayed himself as indispensable to corporate executives and built up a small but powerful financial network. He had known Mr. Epstein since at least 1999, when the future of Barclays chief was running the private business banking on the Wall Street bank JP Morgan. As has been widely reported earlier in his career, Mr. Staley developed a professional relationship with Mr. Epstein. Barclays said in a statement, it added that Mr. Staley, who is known as Jess, had told the bank that he had had no contact with Mr. Epstein after taking the top position at the leader in December 2015. Barclays said regulators, including the Financial Conduct Authority, the main overseas of bank in Britain, were examining how Mr. Staley characterised the relationship with Mr. Epstein to the company, as well as what the company subsequently told the Financial Conduct Authority. Harvey Weinstein attorney says in closing arguments that accusers and lawyer Gloria Allred see a pot of gold at the end of this trial. Updated 8:50 a.m. PT. Harvey Weinstein defence attorney Donna Rotuno suggested in no uncertain terms that accuser Miriam Haley and her attorney Gloria Allred are in it for the money. As she continued through her closing arguments this morning, Rotuno detailed Haley's various friendly emails with Weinstein, the party invitations and hotel room visits she accepted after the alleged forced oral sex in 2006. With a slide projection reading 3,163 days later, October 24, 2017, referring to how much time had elapsed since the July 10, 2006 alleged assault, Haley Rotuno reads a newspaper account of accusations against Weinstein and her memories resurface. She hires Gloria Allred, who sits here every day. Rotuno said, as Allred sat in the front row of the spectator section, Allred hasn't been paid, Rotuno said, but she knows there's a pot of gold at the end of this trial. Rotuno reminded the jury that while Haley said she had not filed a civil suit against Weinstein, she acknowledged anything's possible. Previously, 7:37 a.m. Insisting that Harvey Weinstein sits here as an innocent man, defence attorney Donna Rotuno began her closing arguments in Weinstein's rape trial today by imploring the jury of 7 men and 5 women to use their New York common sense and disregard whatever gut feelings they may have had about Weinstein's prior to this trial. You don't have to love Mr. Weinstein, Rotuno said, and we're not here to criminalise morality. The unpopular person needs you the most. Kaboom. Switzerland halts 5G rollout over health concerns. That means every country should be doing the same. It's a gloomy day for technocrats in Switzerland, which has imposed a nationwide ban on new 5G installation while demanding a thorough study of the health effects of millimetre waves on humans. Until produced, the ban will not be lifted. Switzerland, one of the world's leaders in the rollout of 5G mobile technology, has placed an indefinite moratorium on the use of its new network because of health concerns. The move comes as countries elsewhere around Europe race to upgrade their networks to 5G standards, amid a furious rearguard diplomatic campaign by the US to stop them using Chinese technology provider by Huawei. Washington says the company, which is fundamental to most European networks, upgrade plans present a grave security risk. Switzerland is relatively advanced in Europe in adopting 5G. The wealthy Alpine country has built more than 2,000 antennas to upgrade its network in the last year alone, and its telecoms provider have been promising their customers imminent 5G coverage for most of this past year. However, a letter sent by the Swiss Environment Agency, BAFU, to the country's cantonal governments at the end of January has now in effect called time on the use of all new 5G towers. Officials who have seen the letter told the Financial Times. The agency is responsible for providing the cantons with safety criteria against which telecoms operators' radiation emissions can be judged. Under Switzerland's highly federalised structure, telecoms infrastructure is monitored for compliance and licensed by canton authorities, but Bern is responsible for setting the framework. BAFU has said it cannot yet provide universal criteria without further testing of the impact of 5G radiation. The agency said it was not aware of any standard worldwide that could be used to benchmark recommendations. Therefore, BAFU will examine exposure through adaptive 5G antennas in depth. If possible, in real-world operational conditions, this work will take some time, it said. Without the criteria, cantons are left with little option but to license the 5G infrastructure according to existing guidelines on radiation exposure, which all but preclude the use of 5G except in a tiny minority of cases. Now, as you all know, I've been warning that they're about to bring martial law to the UK, and here's the evidence. Coronavirus. UK police to round up anyone suspected to be infected for quarantine. Health bosses warned the infection is a serious and imminent danger to the UK as they closed down a GP surgery in Brighton. This is the step towards martial law. Coronavirus fears are growing in Britain as police have been handed new powers to force people into quarantine. You'll do as we say or else. New measures have been rolled out with immediate effect as health bosses warn the infection is a serious and imminent danger to the UK. This is martial law. Police will reportedly be deployed with protective hazmat suits and will have the power to arrest people if they are feared to have the virus. They will also be allowed to round up, gather them all, put them on the trains, any potential carriers who leave the country to so-called isolation facilities without permission, reports Daily Mail. Anyone who fails to comply could face arrest and a fine of £1,000. Cops have reportedly been given powers to enter anywhere and use reasonable force, which means any force they like. That's what that means. If they suspect someone has returned from an infected area and not agreed to quarantine. The plans have been signed off by Health Secretary Matt Hancock. That bloke, Matt Hancock, traitor to humanity. As Britain tries to clamp down on the virus. Bullshit. This is a stepping stone towards martial law. And them powers they've allegedly given the police are martial law powers. I said, we're heading for martial law. That's been the plan all along. They've worked on it. They knew this virus was coming. If you think that the governments are separate in different countries, they're not. They all chat and they all decide what's going to happen and where it's going to happen and how they're going to use this coronavirus bullshit. Facebook insider confesses all. The Zuckerberg dossier. Mark Zuckerberg is a fraud used by the CIA. The following anonymous document claims to be written by a Facebook insider who was Mark Zuckerberg's lover from their freshman year at Harvard. Mark's containing indiscretions which his ongoing government contact keeps getting him in trouble to this day. Mark was supposed to simply be the fake boy genius or Larry Summers, Harvard's president. Social media project funded by DARPA, In-Q-Tel, CIA, IBM and the secretive international public-private group called the Highlands Group, organised with the DoD Office of Net Assessment. It was Summers and a group of government officials who fabricated, produced and directed Mark throughout the entire fraudulent creation of the Facebook propaganda story at Harvard. These claims are explosive and allege that the entire fraudulent social media network called Facebook has always controlled by the government through the people who were at Harvard directing Mark. The anonymous author of the letter below, who we will call John, also points out why Facebook was created, how Mark was controlled by Eric Schmidt, James Bayer, Larry Summers, Sheryl Sandberg and the evil intellectual property, the Professor James Chandler. Admittedly, this Zuckerberg dossier has enough information in it to put Mark Zuckerberg behind bars and therefore would not be touched by the mainstream media. According to the person who had hand-delivered it, this letter to a member of the anonymous Patriots conclave a few days ago. American intelligence media has been able to quickly verify that many of the claims insinuated in the Zuckerberg dossier are true, and this leads us to conclude that the document is authentic and exactly what it appears to be. Links in description. A Dean Koontz book from 1981 predicted coronavirus in bizarre coincidence. There are no coincidences. Author Dean Koontz eerily predicted the coronavirus outbreak in his 1981 thriller The Eyes of Darkness. The financial novel tells the story of a Chinese military lab that creates a new virus to potentially use as a biological weapon during wartime. The lab is ironically located in Wuhan, China, and the made-up virus is called Wuhan 400. In the novel, the virus is called the perfect weapon because it only affects humans. It also cannot survive outside the human body for more than a minute and does not require an expensive decontamination process once it's spread through the population and those who contract it. Second coronavirus case confirmed in quarantine San Diego patient, 14th overall in US. The coincidence between the book's virus and the actual coronavirus outbreak is uncanny. Because this was them telling us what they were planning 40 years down the line. Fishing anger. Infuriating images show EU boats plundering British waters. Get out. UK fishermen have been left furious after European Union boats were again spotted fishing off the coast in British waters, sending a post-Brexit warning to Boris Johnson to get them out. The campaign group raged, British fishermen say the picture's yet another shameful example of the Common Fisheries Policy, CFP, giving unfettered access for EU boats to fish Britain's waters. The local Cornish fleet is ashore for weather, yet a fleet of bigger French boats scrape the local Cornish grounds. A repeat of the daily pillage right round Britain. Fishing for leaves says must end. Fishing for leaves, Aaron Brown describes EU fishermen as of being full of anger, tears, snotters and self-pity, but claimed they have fiddled EU relative stability quotas to claim grossly inflated shares of fish. He said in the English Channel and southern North Sea, the EU fleet has 90% of the haddock, whiting and cod quota that French trawlers target. You cannot treat people like garbage and worship God at the same time. Canadian fashion mogul Peter Nygaard accused of sex trafficking and sexual assault. 10 women filed a civil class action lawsuit against the 76-year-old woman's clothing manufacturer of raping them at his seaside mansion in the Bahamas and operating what they refer to as a sex trafficking ring. Telegraph. Oh God, it's parasites again. Johnson could rip up Javid rules to cut taxes. Yeah, right. Prime Minister aims to boost spending with cash for infrastructure, police and schools in budget. Parasite, my motherhood challenges. You've never done a day's work in your life. Don't try making out you do any motherhood work either, you lying, satanic, evil bitch. Police report 120,000 cases of non-crime hated indictments. Dennis the Menace brings perfect storm. Well, not really. The Guardian. Pioneering police scheme slashes reoffending rates. Initiative could radically change how the system deals with violent crime. Danger to life storm warning. Bullshit. Mirror. My Masked Singer Secrets. Exclusive by Joel Dummett. Don't know what that's about. Andrew linked to second tycoon accused of child rapes. Well, what? Andrew links with other tycoons who just happen to be child trafficking, raping, satanic bastards. Well, you could have knocked me over with a feather. Prince stayed at billionaire's Bahamas home where alleged attacks took place. Nothing to see here, though. Just move along. He's just a bad apple in an orchard of bad apples. Daily fail. Andrew's island visit to second tycoon facing child sex claims. I think that should really top it up now. I mean, it's blatantly obvious he's a paedophile and he's been raping and murdering children for probably all his life. And yet he's still walking around free. Like the rest of the royals. They're all dirty, filthy, paedophile, satanic, child-raping bastards. Every single one of them. The Times. Hate speech policing is Orwellian, warns judge. Number 10 backs free expression ruling on trans tweets. My Wild Day on Philip Green's super yacht. You're So Vain, the rise of the male tweakment. How to build a pop career in your 50s. Aye. Half-term special, the world's biggest sleeping trains. Storm Dennis to bring flash floods menace. But of course, we're that used to it here that the government have made sure they put in plans to make sure that nowhere gets flooded. Oh, wait, no, that would be in a sensible place where people actually do things that they want to assist others, not this criminal government that we have. Met Office issues multiple weather alerts for large areas of UK. Flood defence chief says Britain is struggling to cope with the effects of climate change. Bullshit. Winds of up to 80 miles an hour predicted along with heavy downpours. City banned from Europe for 2 years. Inquiry into PM's luxury holiday mirrored in secrecy. What? He doesn't want to tell us what he's been up to, the dirty little bastard? Well, there's no shock there, is there? New cabinet gets down to business. Revealed fracking firm earthquake data deal. Janet Street Porter beware of control freaks. Patrick Coburn, Ireland Brexit movement. Express. Heathrow virus scare. Yeah. Essential 7-day. Yeah. Flood warning and as 80-mile-an-hour gales and rain crash into today. Weather bomb blasts Britain. And the parasite, my amazing granny, was my inspiration. You ass-licking bitch. Utter and complete waste of paper. Alien breakthrough. E.T. has phoned home. Now boffins need you to help trace him. Dennis a bigger menace. Haskell in joke fury. FT. China offers to build HS2 in 5 years. Promise to significantly lower cost. CRCC claims faster trains. UK officials sceptical. City kicked out. Champions League ban. Sunak ready to yield to Johnson and open spending tap at first budget. Oh yeah, we're going to give you a little bit to make you think we're good, and then we're going to steal it back off you in another snidey tax that we've introduced at the same time that actually makes you worse off. But it'll look like you've got something out of it. Revolutionary Guard 2, the filmmaking adventure. And finally, looking for a bit of advice. What's the best number of roses to give the girlfriend for Valentine's Day? 6, 12, 24? Or the whole tin? I might as well stay and have another. The wife's going to chew my effing head off when I get home anyway. We've all been there. Paddy goes into a Dublin florist shop and says, I would like to buy a bunch of flowers for my girlfriend. The florist looked at him and said, Certainly, sir. What is it you're after? A shag, says Paddy. TV licence man, just been at door. He said, Have you got a TV? I said, No. He said, You must have. You have an aerial on the roof. I said, I've got milk in the fridge, but it doesn't mean I've got a cow in the house. 3 weeks ago, I sent my hearing aids in for repair. I've heard nothing since.